Welcome to the Senior Basketball Analyst Finals Preview for 2015. Once again, you have the Senior Basketball Analysts. You have Greg and Jermaine. We got Jonathan directing, so without further ado, we're going to start talking about the NBA Finals. Jermaine, why don't you kick it off and give your thoughts on the Cavs this season, their playoff run, etc. You know, what do you see? What do you find interesting?
Well, there's a lot of things interesting here. I mean, this is one of our first finals that doesn't have the Spurs, the Lakers, any of these teams that have been out there for a very long time. So in that regard, it's refreshing to see two teams, rookie coaches, teams that have been good all season, but you just would never think these two guys would be in the finals together. So, Cleveland I really like. I think LeBron has these guys playing at an outside of their minds, an exceptional level, and I think it's just going to be too much LeBron. And he also has the finals experiences 5 or 6 times. Is it 6 times he's been in the finals? 5?
6 times, 5 consecutive.
5 consecutive, 6 overall. So, this guy, he's won 2 out of them, 2 out of 5. So, it's hard to bet against LeBron as great as the Warriors are as a team. The Cavs are pretty scary right now. They took 3 guys from New York who were basically just nobodies, and these guys are playing at an exceptional level. Shumpert, Mozgov, and J.R. Smith. These guys aren't playing around, and I don't see the Warriors, even though they have more talent on paper. At the end of the day, man, you got that killer instinct that I always talk about. LeBron has it, and he's got all those other guys that have it too. The Warriors may have it a little bit, but Draymond Green would have to be the guy that's going to drive that team emotionally. And I think he's going to be a mess, sort of like how he was with Zach Randolph. But it's going to be times 20 because he's going to have to deal with LeBron on the offensive end, and he's going to have to be that guy that motivates them because they're a pretty vanilla team. Not just because most of them are light skinned, they're vanilla personality-wise. Draymond Green is the guy that drives.
No, you know what? Let me stop you there because I think, first of all, it sounds like if I'm correct, you're picking Cleveland. Right.
I'm picking Cleveland, and I really don't think that it's even going to be that competitive. I think it's going to be 6 games at most.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's going. I think Cleveland is going to surprise everybody and stomp them pretty good. I think they're going to surprise them. Or surprise the pundit world. Now, what I would ask you is, because you're hitting on the Draymond Green thing, and that's really what everybody wants to talk about. And the reason people like talking about him is because he's interesting. He's the goon, man, so he's interesting. But
he's great. He's great. I mean, the guy he's great for entertainment value. He's great on the court. He's a guy that just does all these intangibles. He does a lot of tangible stuff as well. The guy's awesome. But at the end of the day, when you guard LeBron, you're going to be in foul trouble. LeBron is a great defender himself. It's not like you're going to be able to provide a whole lot of stuff on offensive end yourself. And you've got a team that shoots a lot, and you got Iman Shumpert, who's one of the best perimeter defenders in the game. They were saying that guy allows 29% or something from the arc when he's in the game, or it's something like sub 30 that he allows when he's in the game. And the guy is just very motivated, and they'll probably have him on Klay Thompson. And at the end of the day, if you continue to shoot, you're going to have games where you're off. If you can constantly are relying on the jump shot, which Golden State does. And those guys are running around playing defense, man, all day. Tristan Thompson's blocking shots, and, Iman Shumpert. Even J.R. Smith is playing pretty good perimeter defense. So it's going to be really difficult. They're going to have to make some adjustments in order to have some success, any sort of success against Cleveland. And keep in mind, we're only talking about J.R. Smith, a broken up Kyrie Irving, Shumpert, LeBron James and like Mozgov. Like these aren't like world beaters. Like these guys are just like some guys that aren't as even they're they're marginally better than the teams LeBron brought to the finals. It may be an argument that they're not as good.
I would say this is probably the worst team he's brought to the finals.
But you know what though? Like I said, when you talk about the killer instinct and you talk about guys being motivated as hell to play, Tristan Thompson is very motivated to play. All these guys are extremely motivated to play. J.R. Smith is shooting like 45% from the arc or some shit in the playoffs. These guys are extremely motivated. So that motivation sometimes supersedes talent level when you got these guys and they're peaking at the right time in the season. That shit is very important.
Hey, Greg's making the use of idiot face. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and give him the floor.
All right. Well, it's interesting because I arbitrarily you assigned me Golden State, and I wasn't sure I was really all in on them until Jermaine just convinced me that I should be excited about the Golden State Warriors.
Wait. I didn't assign you gold. I just said that you were going to talk first because you know what? Just talk. Just stop being an idiot.
No, I mean, all right. So here's the thing. No, in all truth, the question is what you're excited about in the finals. It's easy to be excited about the Golden State Warriors. I mean, they looked fantastic every series so far. Even when they ran into a tough Memphis team, they were able to. I mean, they had some help from some injuries and some mysterious illnesses and things like that.
And the refs too.
And the rest. But at the end of the day,
hey, that was all ball Iguodala had. Okay, that was all ball. That was all ball. Okay. And Stephen Curry hits that shot in his sleep. That's like a layup.
Here's the thing.
That's like a layup.
And when Steph Curry got to reshoot free throws and nobody could explain why. No one could explain.
Oh, that was interesting. I forgot about that.
Yeah. He's just reshooting free throws.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about this matchup. Now, I appreciate the fact that LeBron is the greatest player in the history of ever or whatever it is these days, right? And I know that Steph Curry is the second greatest player in the history of basketball, too, thanks to the way these playoffs have been covered, right? But here's the deal, though. It's not just Draymond Green that LeBron has to deal with. If any team is built to chase LeBron around the perimeter with repetitive levels of good defenders on the wings, it's gonna be Draymond Green followed by Iguodala.
But he gonna back them into the paint. This ain't LeBron circa 2008, man. He gonna back them right down into the paint.
We'll see. I don't think so. I don't think he's gonna have.
That's what he's done in previous series. He's gonna back you right to the paint.
LeBron, I'm not saying we're going to shut down LeBron. I'm not saying anybody's going to stop LeBron. He's going to average 30 in this series. I'm not worried about him getting his numbers. What I'm saying, though, is you've got Draymond Green, you've got Andre Iguodala, and then Klay Thompson. Now, I'm not a big Klay Thompson's all-defensive guy.
You named one guy that can actually sort of guard LeBron, and that's Iggy. The rest of them dudes.
Yeah, so what I think it's going to be –
Draymond's going to be like this.
I don't think so. Here's the truth: if it's me, and if Kerr has any sense about how to run these matchups, Draymond needs to be attached to Tristan Thompson, making sure that he doesn't get 9 offensive boards every night. That's what you do, and you let Iggy deal with the other small forward on the lineup.
Is he capable of doing that?
We'll see. This is the only reason why you have Iggy. This is what you save him for. You don't make him a fixture in the offense. He's no longer a support facilitator the way he had been the first 8 years in his career. This is what he does. He's even coming off the bench, so he doesn't have to spend a whole lot of energy on it.
No. I'm sorry. I meant is Tristan Thompson capable of is Draymond Green capable of taking Tristan Thompson off the backboard? I don't think he is at all.
I think so because I don't think he's going to be better.
But here's the thing about this series. Off the glass?
No.
Here's the thing about this series. I think this series is built on a bunch of great matchups. I'm super excited about it. I don't know that Draymond Green shuts Tristan down, but of all the people Tristan Thompson's had to match up with, I think Draymond Green is most capable of matching his energy level and his effort, two things that Jermaine just talked about, right? The guy with the highest motor on the court, I think is Draymond Green, maybe LeBron, right? I mean, but of the guys who are not superstars, Draymond Green has everything you could ask for in terms of having probably a willingness to take that assignment and deal with that guy.
You know
in
what?
a way that no one else has all this time.
Let me steer it this way. because
right.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but let me go to how intriguing the series is in terms of matchups. At point guard, we have a broken down Kyrie Irving that don't guard anybody, even when he's healthy.
Yep. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Who's the worst defender? As much as we dislike both of these point guards on the defensive end, Kyrie is worse than Steph, and especially injured, he's worse.
No, absolutely. Kyrie Irving is one of the worst defensive point guards in the league. There's no question about it. He's horrendous defensively.
Put LeBron James on Stephen Curry.
That's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna put LeBron
right out the gate.
Not out the gate, but if Curry starts being a problem, they're gonna put Iman Shumpert, they're gonna put LeBron on him, and that's gonna be it. You certainly ain't gonna see if you're seeing any Matthew Dellavedova on Curry. That's Tyronn Lue's fault. I'm gonna blame Tyronn Lue. Tyronn is out here blowing his only head coaching opportunity. He's blowing it.
Because at some point he would have to do that because when he's on the court, he would have to guard Stephen Curry. He would have to.
No, never. Not one possession. I would make Ron Adams, who's running the Golden State Warriors. I would from an offensive perspective, I would have Ron Adams. If I'm Ron Adams, I would make him, or if I'm coaching against Ron Adams, I make him run Curry off screens such that Dellavedova ends up on him. I would not, if I'm coaching the Cleveland Cavaliers, match up ever have that clown matched up again. Iggy, remember when Iggy made him fall and he did a Superman dive? Yeah. Iguodala ain't even got moves like that. He made Dellavedova dive like he was playing Tecmo Bowl or something. So, no. At shooting guard, the shooting guard matchup, Klay Thompson is Klay Thompson's been just bad all playoffs long. Like, that's one of them things that kind of people ain't talking about because Golden State's winning, so it doesn't matter. Klay has been very subpar. And go ahead.
He has been, but he stepped up when it counted, especially against the Rockets. That last game when Curry was out. Was it the last game?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the last game. He was just pouring in all sorts of points.
It was second to last game, but I see your point. It was
it was second to last game. But he's not going to be a factor this series either. He probably gets 16, 17 points.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that? Why would he just So I get that he hasn't been. He ain't put up any 40-point third quarters, but why is he going to be a complete non-factor?
He's going to have Iman Shumpert
ever.
He's going to have Shumpert on him.
I don't know about that. I think he's going to have plenty of Josh Smith on him, who's very disinterested in playing defense.
No, I'm talking about this series.
He meant JR.
I said, JR. I'm sorry, JR Smith.
Oh, JR. All right.
Yeah. Who's plenty disinterested in playing defense and getting back and closing out on distance shooters. That's not his thing at all.
Iman Shumpert should guard Klay Thompson. I don't even see that as even being negotiable if he's out there on the court.
Well, all right. So let me ask you this. Here's your lineup. Klay Thompson, right? You got Klay Thompson. You've got Steph Curry. You've got Draymond Green, right? Something like that. And then you've got LeBron and Iman Shumpert. And who's the third guy?
The third for J.R. Smith.
So you either got Kyrie Irving or you've got J.R. Smith, which means one of the three dudes on Golden State who are highly effective at exploiting bad defensive matchups gets free lunch. Because you're going to have one of those three.
Well, I would choose Draymond Green. I would choose Draymond Green over those two guys.
You would put who? Josh Smith on Draymond Green?
It doesn't matter because you're covering Klay Thompson with Shumpert or J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith isn't a terrible perimeter defender.
He's pretty bad.
I think they've been overall playing very solid perimeter defense.
JR has not been bad in the playoffs at all.
Those guys have been running around as collectively as a team. But I do get your point, though. I do get your point. People have to be accounted for. But my thing is, if you stop Curry and Klay Thompson,
Easier said than done, though, right? Like,
You probably keep
that's
top
easier
30.
said than done, though, right?
Huh?
I said that's easier said than
No,
done.
no,
Though,
I
right?
agree.
I mean,
No,
like,
not with Klay Thompson. Not with Klay Thompson. With Stephen Curry, it is easier said than done. Because Stephen Curry, just like LeBron said, nobody can really guard Stephen Curry or LeBron James. So if those guys wash each other out, I don't really know what team that benefits. But I know that because Stephen Curry shoots so much, and he doesn't really elevate the. I mean, he's just not that sort of player that LeBron James is. He sort of elevates his team, but not to the point where LeBron James elevates his team. And that's no fault to Steph Curry. But if Klay Thompson, I think he's the X. Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are the X factors for the Warriors.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Klay Thompson, and I was going to say this before this all started. Klay Thompson's only average 17 a game against Harden. Like, for all the Harden is a clown talk, Harden stomped that dude. Even if you include the last game, he stepped on the dude. He only averaged 17 a game against Harden. Against Tony Allen, he couldn't score at all. He basically was just a dude on the court blowing dunks and looking like a fool. So,
I'm not saying that he's a bum.
He's not a bum. He's not a bum. It's just that
he's an all-star caliber player. But if you have decent like man-to-man defense on him, as well as like the collective defense that Cleveland seems to be playing very well in the playoffs, if Golden State's gonna win, they would need him to play at an exceptional level. They would need him to play exceptional level every single game.
They need him to do better than 17
Where do you get
again.
your points from? Where do you get your points from on that team?
I think you get them the same way they've been getting all playoffs. I mean, honestly. So here's the thing. One of the things you said was that for Golden State to win, they've got to hit these shots because they fall in love with the three and they take a lot of threes and you can't stay hot forever and all that. I disagree. They make threes, but the reason they get threes is because they move the ball. I think that what this hinges on for Golden State is if they can be this team that keeps breaking records with numbers of assists every night, or if they're going to be the team that shows up and throws record-breaking turnovers every night in the playoffs, right? That's when they get themselves in trouble. If Stephen Curry gets bottled up and the screens don't flow like they're supposed to and he over-dribbles and then kicks out into transition, fast break steals and things like that, that's a problem for them. But if everybody's moving the ball and Vogt's touching it and kicking it back out and he's getting 4 assists a game, that's a problem. And I don't think, and to go back to Klay Thompson, not because I think it hinges on him. I don't think he's super crucial to them. If he hits his shots when he's open, they'll do just fine. If he gets 17 a game, they can beat the Cavs 17 a game out of him.
But yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think that he needs to average more than 17 a game. But what I'm saying is the thing about Golden State that really just kind of like I don't feel like they've been tested enough in these playoffs. They had the Pelicans. They had a broken up Grizzlies team where Mike Conley was broken up. Tony Allen was broken up. They basically had a backcourt that was probably 50, 60%, right? And then they play a dysfunctional Rockets team who, there's a laundry list of issues that team has.
Dude, I'm not going to sit here. See. I am not going to sit here and listen to you disparage the great Jason Terry. The defense and intelligence of Pablo Prigioni.
No,
do that.
Those
not
those
on this
show.
show.
Top notch. Well,
Terry didn't reach his prime until
and
age
taking the
39.
most shots out of like everybody on the team. At least when he's in the game, he's taking like one of those quarters. I think it was his first quarter. I think he put up like 10 attempts.
You know what? One of the things that's funny about NBA, the lack of NBA coaching these days, because this is the coach's job. I'm not going to have Josh Smith shooting 38% and he took the second most field goal attempts on the team. That doesn't make any sense. And I don't know what Mikhail is doing when he does that. I don't know what he's doing.
He doesn't know how to run the offense. And that's to my point. I think that the Warriors are not a fluke. I think they're a great team. I think they're one of the greatest sort of regular season teams that we've seen in the past, 10, 20 years. It's there. But these Cavs, man, like I just don't see them LeBron elevates everybody else's game, and LeBron is going to probably get his 25, 10, and 10. And he's bringing stellar defense on top of that. Um, I just can't see them battling that for 7 games. I don't see how they're going to deal with that. I don't. LeBron James is not going to have a terrible game.
Well,
He
here's what I know isn't
He's
going to
going to bring it huh?
Here's what I know ain't going to happen. You're not going to put the likes of Harrison Barnes, who's their starting 3. We got to remember who actually is going to match up and who's going to play these minutes. Because like James Jones, for example, is going to start for Cleveland, or Mike Miller, or some other cadaver, but the lion's share of the minutes is going to go to J.R. Smith off the bench. So we have to remember who's going to be playing. Harrison Barnes draws a starting matchup against LeBron. Otherwise, Harrison Barnes is going to be tasked with blocking out Tristan Thompson at the 4. Now, in today's NBA, Tristan Thompson's a 5, which is why Mozgov gets his cup of coffee. So they can pay him as a starter. I guess that's why they start him, so they can pay him as a starter. But Mozgov stinks at basketball. He's terrible, and he will go to the bench. And then Tristan Thompson is going to play the 5, which means LeBron is the 4. So that's Draymond Green now. So Harrison Barnes and Draymond Green are going to get the lion's share of those minutes. It's not really going to be a lot of Iguodala. We want to see that, but that's not what
Iguodala won't. He can't. There's not enough room for him to be a significant piece in this finals. Like,
precisely.
As big a fan as I am, I don't know where he would fit in that.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I think there's plenty of. So Golden State, one of the things they're famous for is running this small lineup, right? Which meshes perfectly, which is why I'm so excited about the finals, honestly, because I think these matchups just don't stop with these two teams. Yeah. If Tristan Thompson pushes to the 5, then so does Draymond Green, right? If that's what you want to do, and they'd be perfectly okay with the Draymond Green, Iguodala, Harrison Barnes, Clay and Steph Curry lineup, or swap in Festus Ezeli, right, or something like that, right? They do this all the time. They're perfectly fine with that matchup against LeBron at the 4, Tristan at the 5, Smith at the 3, Shump at the 2, and Kyrie Irving at the 1. And that's just fine. That fits for what Golden State wants to do. And maybe the advantage is for Cleveland even in that situation, but Cleveland isn't going to be able to put a lineup on the floor that Golden State can't match with personnel because, frankly, they're the deepest team in the playoffs. They have no problem putting together a combination of guys that can be effective against any lineup.
I'm gonna go with a prediction, and predicting who's gonna win is hack BS. I'm gonna make a prediction about the way this is gonna go. There's gonna be a lot of small ball, mostly because Mozgov is garbage.
Bogut's better than Mozgov, by the way. We haven't talked about all defensive second team Bogut yet, but Bogut's better than Mozgov. As little as he deserves it, he's better.
Bogut's bad, but Mozgov is significantly worse. And Golden State likes to go small ball because that's the direction in the NBA. They like to go small ball when the other center comes out. If Mozgov only plays 15 minutes a game, that means Bogut's going to play only like 18. And here's what happens when you go small ball against LeBron. You lose. You lose because you have if LeBron can get and start backing it up and getting into the paint and either and then do that hop across the lane thing and then throw up that little stupid jump shot he throws up. If he can start doing that and the biggest dude on the court is Draymond Green or that dumb Festus Ezeli, you're dead. He's going to score 35 points and get 10 assists, and you're going to lose the game.
Thompson is going to grab every fucking rebound that he can find in the game. And nobody's going to stop him.
Yeah, like
anybody stopping him if he's at the front.
And I'm going to tell you, like,
works with real teams. And apparently the Cavaliers are a real team who, with the exception of Kyrie Irving, who's kind of broken up, I think he's going to be fine for the playoffs. So I would just consider him to just be his normal Kyrie self. These guys they just play a lot of defense. They play a lot of defense, And I just don't see all of this exploitive sort of small ball working for a team like the Cavaliers. I just don't see it happening. LeBron James is probably gonna play 40 minutes a game. It doesn't matter. Like these guys are laser focused, and Golden State's gonna have to show, at least prove to me, that they're able to like go 7 games with a team that's actually formidable. Like these teams they played aren't formidable. They just
I
aren't.
don't think Cleveland has been beating like wall-to-wall talent in the East either. I mean,
Atlanta was.
You got to think about when they peaked. Their peak right now is where they peaked, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, all right, Atlanta was hobbled. Everybody was hurt. Most dudes Horford got ejected from the one game he was on his way to getting 30, right?
I agree with all of that.
They beat the Bulls, but Paul Gasol did that. Before that, they swept the Celtics, who shouldn't even been in the playoffs. Isaiah Thomas is their best player, and he came off the bench.
I agree with that.
So I'm just saying, I don't think that's a fair thing to say. That Golden State hasn't proven themselves again. I think Golden State has had a much tougher road to the finals than Cleveland has. I think Memphis is a much tougher team than any team that
Cleveland has LeBron James. Has LeBron James. They have LeBron James, and like I said, they are peaking at the right time. Like I get what you're saying. If you watched out both of their roads to the finals, it probably wasn't incredibly challenging for either team. But if that's equal, you can't. How do you bet against LeBron? How do you bet against LeBron in this sort of situation where they don't have anybody to guard him? They have no big man presence. They have Bogut, but he'd probably get in foul trouble in the first 5 minutes of the game. He's gonna have to sit out until the third quarter. They don't have any sort of.
Or he might just get hurt. He might just fall and shatter into pieces. Who knows?
You got a guy like LeBron. Like LeBron, you have to have some sort of inside presence consistently to deal with him, and you won't have it. You won't have it the majority of the game.
So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Now, I do agree with that. And to Daryl's point earlier and to what you're talking about now, I think if they go small ball against Cleveland, that hurts you immeasurably against LeBron. So
you think they're not, though? They're going to go small ball.
They would have to. They would have to.
I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna go. I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna go. They gonna pull. Mozgov is gonna do some. He's gonna make some dumb rotation or do some stupid garbage that he does because he's not a basketball player. Mm-hmm. Tyronn Lue gonna yank him. They're gonna move Tristan Thompson. They're gonna put in. They're gonna put J.R. Smith in. They're gonna do their thing they do where they move LeBron up to the 4. Tristan Thompson's gonna move to the 5, and then right after that, it's gonna be all small ball for the rest of the game 1. That's the first thing that's gonna happen. And I think they're gonna lose. They're gonna drop game 1 on their home floor. They're gonna drop it.
So here's the thing. So a couple things about that. One, I think
you know they're going to. That's why you think it's so hard. You know that's.
I'm trying to decide where I land on that. I think Golden State has a greater commitment. They do small ball to their advantage. It's not like they just yank Bogut off the floor. I think they value having him in the offense, and they value what he does on the defense.
They value him in the offense. He has games where he don't even score.
No. They value his ability to be a big in the offense. He gets a lot of offensive boards, and they're going to need him to do that against his team. So I hope they stick with him. I think it's a better series, and I think it makes them a better, more complete team when they do. That's number one. Number two, I think you guys are overlooking the fact that Dellavedova is going to get a lot of minutes. Blatt loves that guy. He's committed to that guy. He's been there all season. He's given this dude minutes throughout the playoffs. Whether Kyrie's healthy or not, Dellavedova gets minutes. I think Dellavedova eats Shumpert's minutes, actually, before Shumpert or J.R. Smith eats his. That guy's going to be on the floor. He has been the whole time.
I'm going to tell you like this. No. We have to – man, I'm stopping the show. Hold on a second. If Shump's minutes get eaten into because they're trying to play Dellavedova, I'm not going to really know about it because I'm going to cut it off.
You can't cut it off. You're the senior basketball analyst. You can't cut it off.
You can't cut it off.
You can't cut it off. You're the basketball analyst now. You got a website.
My remote control broke or something. Of course I can cut it off. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna go find something. I don't think that's gonna happen. I really don't. Dellavedova is gonna play less if Kyrie Irving's healthy. He's gonna play less.
Well, yeah, that was the only reason why he scored the 19 points against the Bulls is because he Kyrie just literally wasn't there. He was in the suit. So, it's I get what you're saying. There's some momentum around Dellavedova, but they understand that they're playing against the MVP of the league right now, and Stephen Curry. And LeBron is not going to allow that shit to happen. He's already coaching the team. We all know that he coaches that team. So LeBron he's not going to allow that sort of thing to happen. It's just not logical for him to be in the game extended minutes playing again because he has to guard somebody, right? And he would have to guard Stephen Curry or Sean Livingston, who's been playing great too. He's going to have to play against another point guard that's going to kick his teeth in. So he's not going to play no more than if he plays more than 15, 20 minutes, I'd be shocked. And that's with a healthy Kyrie Irving because unless it's a blowout or something like that, it's just that there's no room for him in this series for him to do anything that he's been doing throughout the playoffs. There's no room for it.
You know what? I'm looking at it right now against Boston when before the Kyrie Irving disaster with his hamstring, I believe it was. He only averaged 11 minutes a game against Boston, and Boston is garbage. He only averaged 11 minutes, so we shouldn't. If Kyrie is playing, we shouldn't see him a lot, and I mean that's for good reason. I mean this dude is a 38% field goal shooter. He averages 7 points a game. He's not. These are all wide open shots. He doesn't take contested shots.
You better believe if they're gonna win, he won't be a big factor because he can't be because they can't afford for him to pick up the pieces for the rest of the team. Like he's not talented enough. His antics won't work against his team, and
the refs aren't going to allow it either. The refs aren't going to be sympathetic to the kind of nonsense he pulls against the Golden Boy team. They're not going to allow that.
I mean, he does get, he's been very fortunate this series not being suspended for all of the bum shit he's been doing. So I think the guy, we're talking about way at the bottom of the bench right now. We're talking about a guy like Dellavedova.
You know what? I would also like.
Are you talking about what we think, or are you talking about how Blatt actually coaches? Because those are two different things.
He's another six.
What?
He's 6'4". He's 6'4", 24 years old, and he can't dunk. Nice, well done. He's another one of these NBA dudes that can't dunk a basketball.
He's terrible. There's no argument. I think we got a consensus on that. The thing is, I think David Blatt is going to play him. I mean, there's one thing to talk about what we think, and that's kind of why we're all here on this video right now, trying to give an alternative perspective. But I think the reality is guys like him get a lot of minutes, and it's not an accident. And I don't think Blatt has matured enough over the course of the last two series to shift course on that so much.
But I'm saying he get a lot of minutes.
He only played 11 minutes.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Kyrie Irving. And even if you have a 60% Kyrie Irving, you roll his ass out there for a week and let his ass deal with it until the finals are over with. Because if they have any chance of winning, Kyrie Irving has to play his 30 minutes a game. He has to deal with whatever injuries he's dealing with. Even if he's not doing a whole lot on the court as far as scoring, his presence there is way better and is way, him being at 60% is way better than 100% Dellavedova.
I don't think that's the question. I don't think that's what we're discussing.
No, it's not the question, but you're saying that he's going to play heavy minutes. Dellavedova, there's no way he's going to play heavy minutes. How can he possibly play heavy minutes on that team?
I'm not saying he's going to play heavy minutes. I'm not saying he's going to play heavy minutes. It wouldn't surprise me to see him at 16, 17, 18.
And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. If he's there 16,
I don't think that's fine.
Well, why not? I mean, he's a
keep in mind, Greg. Keep in mind, it may be fine because they pulled him off the point.
Yeah,
I know
gradually. Have that dude play the last 3 minutes of a quarter? Have that dude play the last 3 or 4 minutes of each quarter, or however you want to do it. The guy gets 17, 16 minutes a game. So what? That's not going to make or break the series for you, to me. And then you put him in when Stephen Curry's not in the game. You can coach that in a way where it's not as devastating.
You know what I don't like? I don't like him on Sean Livingston.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, Sean Livingston will eat him alive.
Well, I'm saying for 18 minutes, all right, let's say he gets 15 minutes. Let's just go with it 15 minutes, right? Who on that roster for 15 minutes do you want him anywhere near?
Nobody. No,
I can't pick the guy who would be on the court that he could defend for 15 minutes.
Justin Holiday. Justin Holiday.
Right.
Nah, Justin Holiday would kick his ass. Never mind.
No, he probably will, dude. Look.
So, well, let me say this. Let me say this about it because I haven't really given a pick yet. I've just kind of been advocating Golden State, and I'm on the fence about this, but I think it's Golden State in 7. Honestly, that's my guess.
Nobody's gonna say that's crazy. Nobody's gonna say that's crazy. I mean,
I think that's fine. I think it's fine. Just tell me why. Tell me why.
So here's why. Here's why. I think LeBron, as great as he is, and we've established that, is capable of getting you 3 games just by himself. Just by himself. If he really comes out and whoops ass and has 40 points and 12 boards and 7 assists,
look, hey,
you're gonna lose that game.
Let me ask you this: are you gonna get in 1 out of 7 games? Are you gonna get a J.R. Smith game?
You might.
You would have to. That's the only way.
You might. But here's so which type of J.R. Smith game are you talking about? Are you talking about one where he hits 8 threes, or are you talking about one where he chokes somebody and then gets kicked out?
No.
Like, which J.R. Smith game are you talking about?
Because he's famous for a J.R. Smith 6-3 game. Are we gonna get a J.R. Smith game where he hits 6 threes?
You might get one, but I think it's equally likely that you get a J.R. Smith game where he gets 5 fouls, gives you a technical, and goes 1 for 9, and has 7 turnovers.
No,
you can get that game very easily.
Here's where I'm going with this. If I know that I can get 3 games where LeBron just takes the game. He just takes it. If I get a J.R. Smith game and that's a different game than the Shump game.
But it might be the same
game. The Shump game's this game where Shump get 22 and gives up 12, right? So if I can get a J.R. game, if I get 5 games, if I get a J.R. Smith game and a Shump game that are a different game, and those are different games than the 3 games LeBron got,
I don't think they will be.
That's 5 games. That means I just won 4-2.
No, but see, I don't think those will be different games because the Shump games aren't Shump took over the game and all of a sudden he's caused you to win the game. The Shump games are really LeBron games where LeBron got 27 points in the first half and then everybody collapsed on him, so he got 15 assists on the game, 10 of which came in the second half. Most of those went to Shump getting fast break transition buckets that LeBron got steals from, or boards that he just transitioned into a bucket that went up the court, or corner threes or off balls threes for J.R. Smith.
I bet I'm about to look right now. I'd be willing to bet you that in the series against Atlanta and in the series against the Bulls, I'd be willing to bet you that LeBron had a subpar game, and one of those games Shump had 20. I'd be willing to bet. And for LeBron, what I mean by subpar game, a game where he didn't shoot that well, because one of the things that, and I think some people are talking about it, LeBron James has shot like crap from the outside all playoffs. He can't throw the ball in the ocean.
40
Since he's not playing with Hall of Famers anymore, he doesn't get good shots anymore. So he gets bad shots.
But see, to me, that's not a bad LeBron game because I can almost guarantee with equal fervor that in those games where he had some subpar game and Shump had 20, LeBron also went 10 and 10 in the other 2 important categories, and probably had a bunch of steals and some blocks.
My point is, this is my point. The games that LeBron took, the games that he took aren't the games where he shot 40%. Those aren't the games he took. The games that he took, he actually shot better. And what I'm saying is, in a game where LeBron shoots poorly, if Shump give me 20, we're going to win that game. I'd be willing to bet you every time Shump get 20, if Shump gets 20 in a game in this series, they are going to win the game.
See, all right, so here's the thing. I disagree with the first part of that, right? Think back to the game against Atlanta. LeBron it was like his worst shooting start ever, right? Where he shot 0 for 10 or something to start the game, but he finished with like 30 points. That was a LeBron game. He shot terribly, right? But that was a LeBron game, even though he shot horribly. and he still did everything and single-handedly won the game. And other guys got off because he was pushing the tempo, because he was getting things happening in transition, and eventually he found his shot too. So LeBron shooting badly doesn't mean that it's not a LeBron game. He has so many ways to dominate the game that even when it's not a LeBron game, it's still he's doing other things that are facilitating and creating the opportunity for Shumpert to get points or J.R. Smith to score.
And that's what makes him so much more devastating than anybody on the Warriors team. And keep in mind that Tristan Thompson, who we're not talking about a lot, who's a big reason why they are in the finals, creates multiple opportunities with the offensive rebounding, and these are sort of, these guys will shoot a lot of threes just like Golden State as well. I think they take and make the most threes. These teams, but they're in at least top 4 or 5 in the league with the amount of threes that they at least attempt. So Tristan Thompson is going to be creating more opportunities with the offensive rebounding. And LeBron James, whether he's scoring or not, he's one of those rare guys that really doesn't have to do a whole lot of scoring. He can score 20 points, but, I mean, he could probably drop 10, 15 dimes, and he's grabbing a bunch of boards and facilitating the offense. So, I think
he's
that
like he's like Kevin Garnett or somebody like that. Like, his scoring ain't really got nothing.
Like, he's also great defensively too. I mean, it's
right.
Like I said, I can't argue with Greg picking the Warriors in 7 games because these are two. Cleveland sucked at the beginning of the season, and there weren't anybody that nobody was picking these guys even at the start of the playoffs to go to the finals, even though they were one of the best teams in the East. Everybody was talking about the Bulls. Everybody was talking about the Hawks. Maybe some people were talking about Cleveland, but that was before the Kevin Love injury. That was before all these other things that sort of happened. But now these guys have shown me a lot in these playoffs. Defensively, more like the offense is fine. They've obviously gotten some explosive games from J.R. Smith and Shumpert and Tristan Thompson, but defensively these guys were devastating against all of these teams. And I don't see that being any different against the Warriors, even though they run a better offense than the Bulls. Even the Hawks.
Wait, come on. It's not just a better offense. These are going to be the toughest matchups that Cleveland has had to defend all year. I
would have to agree with that.
Someone's fresh off of slapping Kyle Korver in the mouth. That's not that impressive. Also, I just looked it up. Shump doesn't have a game above 16 in the entire playoffs. I don't know if he's been above 20 since February.
No, you're wrong. He has one 20-point game in the playoffs. He does.
Don't look at the box scores.
That was against the Bulls. I remember.
Yeah, he hit the Bulls for 20. He definitely did.
You're right. He got 22. Other than that, he's not been above 16. I don't think he might not get a 20-point game in this series. He hasn't in a series and a half.
So if he does, they're going to win the game, right?
No, they lost the game to the Bulls when he had 22. Why was 20 the magic number and now Shumpert gets 20 and Cleveland gets a win? That's not how it works. That hasn't how it worked before. In fact, I'd say they're better when he's doing the defensive stuff.
It never
being an
works
offensive guy quite as much.
It never works like that. There is no magic number. It never works like that. That's not my point. I'm saying this is what I really mean. In any game where Shumpert outplays Klay Thompson, game's over. Game's over. So he outplays him, game's over. Just like Tony Allen. It's the same thing. When Tony Allen outplayed Klay Thompson, those games were over before they started. They're over.
Tony Allen's 4 times the defender Shumpert is. And I like Shumpert. I like Shumpert a lot. Tony Allen is the best on-ball defender on the planet right now.
I'm not saying I'm not comparing them in terms of defensive skill level. I'm saying that if they lose the shooting guard matchup because they desperately need Klay to win that matchup, if they lose it, they lose the game. And I think it's the same thing with Harden. When Harden had them games where he just really stomped on Klay Thompson, it's very difficult for them to win the game. It's still possible. It's hard. It's just hard to win.
Yep. I agree with that.
And really, this isn't a magical thing that's a flaw in Golden State's construction. All it really means is when one of your 2 best players or one of your best players gets outplayed, it makes it difficult. And where in Cleveland's case, and this is the same way with Memphis, and this is where I will compare Tony Allen and Shump. Tony Allen is not. Is Tony Allen third best on the team? Fourth best? He's not one of the top two players. He's not really a star of that team. So if he outplays your second best player, you're in trouble. Shumpert is not top 2, 3. He's probably the fourth best player on the team. One could argue he's not as good as Tristan. That's my point. So I'm saying if Shump outplays your star shooting guard, all NBA, you're going to lose a game. That can happen. That might happen. And when I think about that, I say, man, Golden State ain't got a chance in this series. There's a chance that Shumpert might outplay your second best player. You got a good team, but man, when you have LeBron in the mix, and then J.R. Smith might have one of them fluke games where he gets 35, that team is so volatile and weird. And Golden State doesn't really have a head coach, and Golden State really ain't that great anyway. You know what? I'd rather just say probably LeBron. It's safer to just say it's LeBron.
You know what it is? My argument here is it's more so about how great Cleveland has been versus if the Warriors have what it takes to beat them. Even though I don't think the Warriors have what it takes to beat them 7 games. The reason why I say this is because they took this Hawks team.
Me either.
They took this Hawks team who
dismantled them. They won 6 games.
They dismantled the Hawks offense. And these guys had no play. They had no players probably all season that averaged over 18 points a game. So their whole formula was moving the ball around, having everybody, involved in the offense, and all the, getting open threes and stuff like that. Even before Kyle Korver went down, before DeMar Carroll went down, those first 2 games they were just totally stymied about Cleveland defensively. And this is a team that was likened to the Spurs and all these other sort of great teams that play team ball that don't have necessarily a big star that they can go to, in the clutch or whatever. These guys did it by committee, and they did it like that all season, and they were number 1 seed in the East doing it that way all season. And Cavs made a fool out of those guys.
You know what I heard? I heard this one. This one cracked me up. I heard that someone compared Atlanta to Detroit basketball, and I was like, Detroit basketball would sweep the entire playoffs this year. The entire playoffs, they sweep the whole thing.
I think what they mean by that is the same thing as what I'm saying. What I just said is that they have a bunch of really good players. They don't have, people argue that Cal Korver should have been an all-star, which is obviously ludicrous, but they have a bunch of good players. They don't have great players, but they all have players who play a role on the team. And there's no super duper star on that team. I think that's probably why they were making that correlation to the Pistons. But think about how the Cavs did those guys. I mean, this wasn't a close series. Like that series was a fucking joke. It was a joke, and that was even after Kyle Korver went down. He's obviously a very important part of their whole offense, whether he's scoring or not. This is before he went down. I mean, they couldn't do anything with those guys.
I gotta tell you, to me, that is a poor litmus test for whether or not Cleveland is championship ready, because that matchup was terrible, and you had Paul Millsap defending LeBron James. I mean,
now they only did that. They did that towards the end of the series when they were really desperate. That's it. They were stymied way before they started doing that. I don't think they started.
That was game 1. That was game 1.
That wasn't game 1.
You know what?
It was game 1.
You know what? Here's the thing. Cleveland, you cannot dismiss. This goes back to the old Roy Jones quote, man. I just made him look like nobody. We can't throw the Hawks in the garbage.
Yeah, seriously,
they would go on the West Coast road trips and sweep the road trips. They were doing that West and East. They won 60 games. They dominated. And then Cleveland made them look like they weren't any good at basketball. They did that to them.
They dominated that team.
Washington Wizards pushed them to the brink, and they're a much worse team than Cleveland. But
it doesn't matter. You can't make that sort of argument because there's different matchups. There's You can't
That's
say
the same
because this
that
one
is
team
the
beat.
same argument you're making, literally the same argument you're making for
No,
why
no,
Cleveland is
no,
going to beat Golden State because
no,
they
no,
just made
that's
the
not what I'm
Hawks look
saying.
bad. That's
What
the
I'm
exact same argument.
No. What I'm saying is that when you have a team that's, we know that the Warriors are a well-oiled machine. We know that those guys offensively are a well-oiled machine. What I'm saying is Cleveland's defense was so devastating towards the Hawks, who, and we can't compare the Washington Wizards because they weren't one of the best teams. I mean, they were a good team this year, but the Hawks were like a very good team, and they were the best in the East, and they beat damn near every team they came across this year. So they had already earned their stripes before the playoffs even started. You know, Washington Wizards have always been one of those borderline dangerous teams who nobody really wanted to play in the playoffs. They've always been dangerous like that. But nobody would ever talk about the Wizards at this level when we're talking about the finals. Like the Hawks were, they got annihilated, and it was in embarrassing fashion, really. And that's something that has to get taken into consideration. And it sort of translates kind of to how the Warriors may look. Now, I'm not saying that's a guarantee, but you can't just like, that's nothing to sneeze at.
You know what? I want to add to that because the Hawks, like for example, they're actually the same plays. The same plays that are used to get Klay Thompson open are the plays that are used to get Kyle Korver open, and Iman Shumpert was having none of that. They're the same plays. So now, obviously, Klay Thompson is a much better basketball player than Kyle Korver, but the open threes are not going to be there. They're just not going to be there. And also, Cleveland is not going to do a Jason Terry and be 38 years old, and they're not going to do Pablo Prigioni and forget who you're guarding. They're not going to do that. They're just not. They're not going to have somebody on Steph Curry that just leaves him. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, but to me, all that means is these aren't going to be blowout games. Like when you do that, you get run out the gym by 30 points in the conference finals, the way that Houston did multiple times at multiple points in those games. All you're doing now is making the case that this is going to be a competitive and interesting and compelling finals.
What I'm getting to is that what Cleveland was able to do to Atlanta, they were able to do to them because of the athletic construction of their team, and those same principles that they apply to Atlanta because of the way they get their shots, that means that some of that stuff is going to carry over against Golden State because Atlanta gets the same type of shots in similar ways.
It absolutely will. It absolutely will.
And I'll tell you something else too. Paul Millsap is better than Draymond Green. He's better.
Not defensively, he's not.
Actually, he's a really good defender too. He's just a better basketball player, period.
He's a better defender, and he's a better all-around player. I see a lot of similarities, to be honest. I think Millsap, you fast forward Draymond Green a few years, and he could look a lot like Paul Millsap, actually.
Maybe,
really
but my point
but Millsap's better. Millsap's better.
He's been Draymond Green for like 5 years, and they made a fool of him too. They made a fool of him. The only guy that was kind of getting off some of the time was Horford.
Yeah, before he got suspended. Yeah, he was only
by the way, yeah, and you saw what the league thought of him. The league was like, okay, let's get him off the court. But think of it this way too. Jeff Teague should have had his run of things. I actually thought that was going to
be an
undoing.
Am I wrong? I think he had a lot of good games. I might be wrong.
No. I'm not saying
he had a bunch of good games.
I'm saying I was expecting Jeff Teague to give me 25 a game because they had Kyrie Irving. They had Kyrie Irving on him. He can't play no D. Dellavedova's a complete clown. I said, man, Jeff Teague might come out and dominate the series either by scoring or by distributing. Jeff Teague played well enough. I shouldn't say well enough. He played fine, but he certainly didn't do anything to keep him from getting stomped on. So if the one thing that Cleveland was supposed to be weak at was defense at the point of attack, hasn't hurt him yet. Hadn't hurt him yet.
Yeah. So here, the thing about that series, though, the thing I think that was really the key in that series, and this is the keys that are different for Golden State. I think Horford at 6'9" is the tallest guy on the Atlanta Hawks roster, right?
Oh, okay. First of all, I'm not going to sit here and play with the heights, okay?
No. I'm just saying.
Horford is 6'10". Al Horford is 6'10". Tristan Thompson is 6'9". Draymond Green is 6'7". Okay?
Yeah, no. My point is, and we've already kind of established that it matters if you have a real 7-footer in front of the rim when you're playing against LeBron James. If you got a bunch of short dudes that LeBron's taller than, stronger than, and jumps higher than, he's going to dunk everybody into the stanchion. And he kind of did that all night against Atlanta, every single night. So that, I think, is different. Bogut's there, and that kind of matters, right? Not a whole lot, because, we talked about how Bogut probably is going to end up.
Bogut, it matters. He matters.
But, say again?
I don't think he'll be out.
Matters.
I don't think he's going to play.
So,
he matters.
So my point just is, so that's one difference, right? The other difference is that at every other spot on the floor, as good as Teague is, Curry's a lot better. As good as people pretend Korver is, and you said this, Clay's a lot better, and Clay isn't only effective when he shoots wide open threes. Korver is only effective when he shoots wide open threes, particularly from the corners.
Right? Agreed. My only point, the only reason I brought that up was just because the way that I'm telling you, man, it's the same play. They run a single double, run them across the baseline, and get them a three. It's the same thing. It's the exact same play. So if those plays are not effective when the Hawks actually are a little crisper in their execution in Golden State, because Golden State, and a lot of it is probably because Golden State is more, because Clay and Curry are more talented, especially Curry. The Golden State gets sloppy a lot. Atlanta's not sloppy. Atlanta, if they don't get a secondary break opportunity, they stop, get into something. Golden State has a lot of me possessions. It's my turn possessions. Mm-hmm. They do a lot of sloppy stuff. So
that's true.
My only point was that if the crispness and all of that stuff you use to assist, like they were showing that Curry was getting over half his points on assists and all this stuff, that stuff's not going to happen against Cleveland. They already proved that's not going to work. They proved it. That was my only point.
And and also to the LeBron James on Curry thing, if they do get in a pinch, that's gonna be a factor as well. And you got to think about how that would affect Golden State's offense if LeBron James is hounding Curry the whole time. They really don't have. He's their main playmaker. Draymond Green does some playmaking. Thompson does a little bit of playmaking, but they obviously go from Stephen Curry. And if he gets LeBron on him, if LeBron does a great job on him, I think he can guard Curry. What does the Golden State do then? What are they supposed to do against that?
Let me tack two things onto that. We were talking about Jeff Teague earlier. Jeff Teague averaged 21.5 points a game in that sweep they just ate. He averaged 21.5 points. Mm-hmm. He shot 43% from the field, which ain't good, but it ain't bad. Mm-hmm. He averaged 4.5 assists. That's devastating. So think about that. Mm-hmm. Think about that assist drop off. He dropped off 2.5 assists a game from his average in the regular season to the playoffs because he was playing Cleveland.
They're defensively devastating.
They don't. Cleveland does not give up stuff like that. They don't just give up, oh man, you guys moved the ball, we're stuck, forget it.
And I disagree with that a little bit. Right?
Well, why does the assist drop? Why does the points went up as assist drop?
Into the box score, right? Going a little bit. Look, I'm gonna go a little deeper into the box score, right? And I'm gonna pull out some stats, right? Look at those same things. To me, so first off, his assist numbers were 4, 6, 7, and 1, right? The 1-point game was that last one. That was a 30-point blowout. He played 28 minutes. He took 13 shots in 28 minutes. He went 8 for 13, so he was scoring his ass off. What was happening was they turned him into the guy who had to produce because they had to catch up. So he was doing a lot of ISO, and he was going to the rack. Yeah. He wasn't looking to get everybody else involved. So I think when you look at the games without that one, he averaged 6 assists per game, which is just a 1 assist drop off, right? You throw in that last one, it looks worse. And he's only a 7 assist guy anyhow.
Well, that's my point. That's my point, though. And look, and you know what else I would say too? In the close game, the game they were supposed to win when they, when they ejected Horford for missing an elbow.
Yeah.
No, I mean let's be plain about this. Them throwing Horford out of the game was inexcusable. It was totally an inexcusable thing to do. It was stupid. But fine, they threw him out. He had 30.7 assists and no turnovers. Mm-hmm. He had 3 turnovers in game 4, 1 in game 2, and 3 in game 1. So my point is, he's not. I don't think he was doing a lot of passing at all. He wasn't, or I should say, he wasn't doing a lot of passing. What's called a penetrating pass. It's all kick out, reset passing. He wasn't doing a lot of playmaking at all because Cleveland doesn't allow it. They on the line, up the line, ball you man. They don't give up a lot of passes that are playmaking passes. They just don't as a team.
And they don't give up a lot of fast break points either, which is a significant part of Golden State offense.
Man, do you see the way? You know what's funny? When you watch Cleveland, do some rewinding. Game 1 tomorrow. Do some rewinding. Watch Cleveland get back defensively. They like the Three Stooges getting back. Like LeBron has got the knees up. Shump is flying back. They fly back defensively. Tristan Thompson will crash the offensive boards and sometimes beat everyone back. It's incredible the way they get back. They get back like madmen.
I agree. Crazy, man. I agree with that. And again, that's just to me. I just point to me. This all just points to the evenness of what I anticipate to be a really good finals because no one's faster at turning missed shots into buckets than Golden State in the league.
But no one's faster in the league than LeBron. Nobody's faster than LeBron.
No, I hear that. My point is you have the best transition defense team in the playoffs who are adept at getting back, but equally adept at scoring an offense are the Golden State Warriors. There was a play, I forget which one it was, but I think it ended up with Iguodala where the ball didn't touch the floor and they were back after a made basket and scored before Houston. Dude, I
remember that play. That don't count, man. Houston was out to lunch, man.
Yeah, I know. Houston's a terrible transition defense team, right?
Out to lunch,
but my point just is, this is just another one of those places where I look at that strength of Cleveland and I acknowledge it. But Golden State has a countervailing strength that is exactly the remedy for that.
You know what?
It's going to be a question of who wins, but I think it's close enough to say that it makes for a good series.
You know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna use now. Greg is kind of like the star of the show because
Greg. Because you guys are agreeing too much.
He's the only you the only person to think now you like kind of on the Golden State side and you think Golden State's gonna win. I really don't think Golden State. I'm on the other side. I don't think Golden State has a chance. No. And this is why.
You don't think a chance. You don't think they have a chance?
Yep. I'm going all the way the other way. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's why they play the games. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. This is why I don't think they have a ghost of a chance. I think when it counts, they're gonna put LeBron on Curry. Win that matchup. Curry he don't stand a chance of doing anything. He can't get in his car if LeBron don't let him. Can't do anything. Can't go. Riley can't come to the press conferences. He can't do nothing if LeBron don't let him. Two. Shump is Klay Thompson has proven time and time again over the course of playoffs he can be had by a great defender. Shump can handle him. Now, I'm not saying that Klay gonna get his 17 or so, but I'm saying Klay ain't gonna be just exploding and blowing up all over Shump and slapping him upside the high top fade. That's not gonna happen. So if Shump is on Klay, and they got to try to keep Tristan Thompson off the glass, they can put Tristan Thompson on Draymond Green and be just fine. They can do that. That's just fine. Okay, now what are you going to do, Golden State? Are we relying on Iggy to keep hitting threes when we know he can't shoot? Are we relying on Sean Livingston and hoping that he don't have another catastrophic knee injury trying to carry a team? What are we relying on after their three best players? Their three best players do not match up well against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their three best players. Bogut is a non-factor. Don't give me any Bogut nonsense. Bogut is a self-check player. Harrison Barnes, to me, at that point, they're relying on Harrison Barnes. They're relying on Harrison Barnes to be able to beat a James Jones into a loss. And I don't know if Harrison Barnes is capable. And that's why I think they can't win the series. I think they flat out can't win the series.
I also think another factor, which we haven't touched on at all, is the fouls and a team's ability to penetrate and another team's ability to shoot a lot of threes. They both shoot a lot of threes, but the reason why LeBron is really devastating because he drives a lot and he gets a lot of people in foul trouble. Whereas nobody in Golden State really is going to challenge anybody with fouls, driving to the basket. I think that's going to be key. I think it's going to be key for guys like Bogut. I think it's going to be key for guys like Draymond Green, who has all the potential in the world to have 5-6 fouls a game.
He was in foul trouble a lot against Zebo, and that's why they pulled him off.
It's nothing against him, but I mean, what the hell is he supposed to do out there? I think whoever's going to be able to be on the court, who's not in foul trouble, is also going to play a big role in how these teams are going to play. And I think that sort of measure is in favor of the Cavaliers because of LeBron. You saw how Klay Thompson was fouling James Harden like crazy, and they had him in the game with 4 fouls. And I mean, that was obviously an anomaly. He's not a guy that fouls a lot, but I don't see anybody on the Warriors challenging LeBron James and getting him in foul trouble or challenging any of the guards, which, I think is also a factor, I think.
No, I agree. And if Tyronn Lue wants to play Shump and play if he wants to play Shump and play J.R. Smith 40 minutes, he could do that. The Warriors are not gonna do anything to prevent that from occurring. And that's an excellent point about the free throws, and that just gives me one more I don't think Golden State and it's not a thing I think Golden State's gonna get swept. I just don't think they have a chance of winning 4 out of 7. I don't see how they win that when they're going to lose. I don't see how they're going to do that when the matchups don't favor them in that way. When they have to deal with Steph Curry with LeBron guarding them, they have to deal with Klay with Shump guarding them, and they have to match. They have Tristan Thompson matching Draymond Green's energy, which Draymond Green, I watched him. He couldn't beat Zach Randolph off the dribble. Draymond Green does not really have one-on-one skills. Draymond Green can get to the basket if he surprises you driving the length of the court because he's fast enough to do it. But in terms of catching in a one-on-one situation, even on a closeout, think about this. How often do you see Draymond Green catch somebody closing out too hard and blow past him and score? Almost never. When he catches, if he can get it off, he fires it. If he don't think he can get it off, he moves it immediately because he does move the ball very quickly. He will move the ball. But in terms of just driving, he's not like J.R. Smith, where J.R. Smith is a guy that when he catches in a one-on-one situation on a closeout, he has the dude at his mercy. Draymond Green's not like that. Draymond Green don't get his points that way. So what are they going to do, Greg, after they have to deal with those 3 matchup problems? Then what? Is Iggy time? Is Harrison Barnes time? Is Sean Livingston time?
They got some serious matchup issues, man. They got serious matchup issues.
Oh, it's David Lee time. Man, go to David Lee, man.
No, here's the thing. Obviously, if it plays out the way you're saying, that's a problem. But I think there's some if factor in there, really. I think you guys are counting on a lot of Cleveland upside to come to fruition, as if these guys are like, hyper reliable seasoned dudes who come to play with work hats and lunch pails and stuff like that, and then show up. Klay Thompson, for instance, Iman Shumpert versus Klay Thompson. You guys are pretty definitively set on the idea that Iman Shumpert is going to eat Klay's lunch, And I just think that the disparity between those guys is very, very large for that.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's not going to do anything other than what he did against Harden. He's going to go out and get his 17. And if you're relying on anything other than him going out and getting his 17, that's wishful thinking.
I disagree with that. First off, Harden
is a better defender than Harden. He's a better defender than Harden, and they're a better defensive team than Houston.
Here's the thing. Harden is a very capable defender at times. Also,
I'm just saying Shump's better.
I'm not disagreeing with that. Here's what I'll say though. I'm looking at it now. Clay averaged 17.8 in that series. He averaged 17.8 against Memphis, and he averaged 25 against New Orleans. Throw out New Orleans because it's New Orleans. But in the Houston series, he had 2 games above 20. In the Memphis series, he had 3 games above 20. He's going to be fine. He's going to do the same stuff he did all season. He's been doing the same stuff he did all season, all playoffs. And he hit a bunch of threes in all of these series. And he shot 40% in that last series, but he shot 47 and 48 in the series before that. He's going to be fine. And he's a good enough player that I think Shump isn't going to just lock this dude up. I just don't see it. So if he does, then yes, Golden State's in trouble.
What are you
saying?
If
he does, say again?
What are you saying he's going to average?
If he gets 18, they can win the series. And
no, they ain't.
No, I think no. So
if he averages 18 points, he's a 21 a game scorer in the regular season. If he gets 18, nope. He gets 18, they lose the series.
Yeah, I think.
All right. So this one, you put this one on the board, and we see where he lands.
No, I totally agree with that, and it's not just because of that. Because if he's only giving you 18, and you got this Stephen Curry who they probably put LeBron James on him. And look, again, these are all sort of ifs. These are ifs.
I think the ifs that you guys are pointing out are really. So first off, I feel like you guys are counting on all of the ifs to
Tyronn Lue. No, Tyronn Lue.
Only like a couple of ifs though.
Tyronn Lue is not going to let Steph Curry just run around and slap the crap out of Kyrie Irving and Dellavedova. He ain't going to. He ain't gonna lie. LeBron's gonna come on. LeBron's gonna look over at him, and Tyronn's gonna say, "Get him," and that's gonna be it.
So what you guys? I mean, because what it kind of sounds like to me, the math is working out this way. Clay's gonna average 15, and Steph is gonna average what, 16 across the series? Why would that happen? Why would that happen?
I think we're oversimplifying
bloodhounds and all that. And
we're oversimplifying. Look, we are oversimplifying it a bit.
A bit, I think.
So. I can't speak for Daryl, but what I'm personally saying is that, okay, let's say Klay Thompson got his 21 a game, and let's say Stephen Curry got his mid-20s a game. They won't be.
They give up 20 plus to both of those dudes.
They won't be nearly as efficient getting those points as they would be under normal playing any other team. They may shoot 40% from the field. They may commit a bunch of turnovers. They got to score a lot of points because those points have to get scored in order for that team to do anything. They have to score points. But the efficiency level is going to go down substantially, I think, playing this Cavaliers team versus any other team. Because, again, it really ain't about the points, right? You know, it's about if you commit a shitload of turnovers. It's about if you're getting 25 points on, 30 field goal attempts. It's all these sort of things that kind of say, well, okay, 40 field goal attempts. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe they'll get their points, but I just don't see them getting it so as easily as they would be under any other circumstance, which, again, hurts them significantly. It hurts them if they have to take a bunch of shots to get their numbers.
That to me echoes, that gets right back to the point that I made earlier on. It's going to depend on which Golden State team shows up, right? The version of them where Steph over-dribbles into the lane and does a lot of one-on-one and forces his way into traffic when the screen didn't really free him up, right? If you get that Steph Curry who throws 8 turnovers in the first half or whatever it was, right? Like you get that guy, yeah, it's over. If Golden State can be pushed and pressed and chased into a situation where they're not making outstanding assists and they're not hitting all their open shots that are open shots because they've swung the ball around the horn and get open looks, if that team shows up, they're in trouble. The team that shows up that throws the ball away constantly, where Cleveland is going to take that and turn it into instant fast break points, it's a problem. I think that's really what it hinges on. I don't know how much of that is going to be. I mean, some of that's the defense. Some of that's
it will be defense. It will be defense. I don't think Golden State's that volatile of a team where they kind of have these bouts where they turn the ball over and they're not as great on offense. I think they're a pretty consistently great team, but that's what the Cleveland Cavaliers like kind of blow all of that stuff out the water, right? Just with their recent play. So, it's really me banking on Cleveland's or thinking that Cleveland's defense is going to just really be so great that it's gonna stymie those guys. They're gonna probably score over 100 points a game, but it's not gonna be pretty, and they're probably gonna commit a bunch of turnovers, and Cleveland's probably gonna outscore them under those circumstances. But again, I'm taking those guys in 6 games. I really don't care who wins. It's not like any of these teams. I could care less, but I just Cleveland has showed me so much these series, and I watched the Golden State series. They've also been very impressive, but just the way Cleveland has elevated their game, like they've elevated their game to like some other level in this last month or so, and they've made me a believer. So I'm kind of like on that high, that Cleveland high right now, and I'm not sure if Golden State is that team that's gonna, kind of say, okay, flip the coin the other way and say, okay, well, Cleveland, there's no way Cleveland can stop these guys, all defensively because they just got so much going on. But again, that's just a matter of opinion for me. There's both teams neither team is like unbeatable. Like they both have faults. They both have things that could get exploited. But at the end of the day, man, when you got LeBron, you got LeBron, man. It's just really hard for me to bet against that guy, even though they got Curry, who's MVP.
Well,
very hard for me to vote against that guy.
Well, all right, I'll say this, and then I'll let the senior basketball analysts take it home, I guess, on this topic. Three quick things that I think will be the tells in this series, right? The things that number one, if Golden State is more turnover prone than assist prone, right? Meaning if we get which side of that coin we get, overpassing, causing turnovers, or crisp ball movement in and out of the post in a way that allows them to swing the ball around the horn and get good looks, like which version of them we get. The thing that worries me the most is that, and Daryl kind of pointed to this earlier, I don't think Golden State can get to the free throw line enough in this series to win in the way that they're going to need to against a team that is up-tempo, fast-paced, scores a lot of points, right? Shoot a lot of jump shots, you swing the ball around. That means you're not banging bodies in the post. You're not getting to the line. And we saw that against Houston. So kind of worries me a little bit about Golden State. The free throw battle is going to go way lopsided in favor of Cleveland. That's kind of scary. The third thing, though, and is that, and I guess this is one of the big differences between us. I am not a LeBron believer. I'm just not. We've seen him lose in the finals more than we've seen him win. We've seen him, even with the Galactic Miami team, come out 500. We've also mentioned earlier on, this is the worst team he's ever brought to the finals. We were consensus, all three of us, about that.
They're not playing the Spurs.
There's tons of ways for LeBron to not be LeBron and just dominate and make this happen. I think he's good enough to make it competitive. I think he's good enough to take a few. I don't know that he's good enough to make me feel like this is a done deal in his favor. So that's my thoughts on it.
You know what? I'm gonna echo Jermaine on that. This Golden State team, man. Great. I don't see Greg Popovich. I don't see the great Tim Duncan. This Golden State team has two very good players. They've got three very good players. They've got a couple of good players in Harrison Barnes and Iguodala at an advanced age. They got solid guys like Leandro Barbosa and Sean Livingston. They got a bum in Bogut that gets a lot of calls, and he's 7 feet tall, but he can function at least at center, so he's decent. But Cleveland has LeBron. Like, Golden State does not have a Russell Westbrook, a Kevin Durant. They don't have even a James Harden. They've got guys that are good. Like, because these guys that broadcast for the NBA and because these journalists that cover the NBA, they like to talk about Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and you can talk that stuff to you blue in the face. Klay Thompson ain't better than Rip Hamilton, and Rip Hamilton supposedly was on this team where nobody was great. And that dude ain't better than Rip Hamilton. Steph Curry, is Steph Curry as good a player as Chauncey Billups? I don't think so. So you telling me that these dudes are supposed to beat LeBron? Which one? LeBron's a 99 overall. They closest dudes at 85. To put it in the goofy video game terms, we got a 99 overall. Your closest dude's at 85. Your best player can't guard his position. That's your best player. Your second best player, Tony Allen, made a fool out of him. Now they, for whatever reason, all of a sudden the spigot got cut off on that. But we saw the formula. We saw him get outplayed by James Harden badly. People don't want to talk about it, but it happened. James Harden threw up like 40 and then a triple-double on that dude. Like, this Klay Thompson, two-way player, blah, blah, blah. James Harden made a fool of the guy. So it's not that I'm down on Klay Thompson or I'm down on Steph Curry. It's just that I see them for what they are. They're like 85s, man. They're really, really good dudes. But they ain't 90s. They sure as hell ain't a 99. They are not all-time great players. They're just not. And if that's what you're bringing to the table against LeBron, I'm a little concerned about that crap. I'm concerned. I'm concerned when I don't see, when Dirk beat LeBron, Dirk had Tyson Chandler behind him. These clowns are bringing Andrew Bogut to the table. Mr. Glass. Like, he's a dude that his bones are hollow or something.
Hey.
Like, that's who they bringing to the table. This is a dude who weighs 300 pounds, and Dwight Howard's backing him down, he flops. Like, this is not Tyson Chandler. So this team, I think, is going to get exposed, and what that's going to mean is it's going to expose the league. It looks really bad to me. To me, it just looks bad. It looks bad if LeBron can bring a team cobbled together with spare parts mid-season. This is trade deadline BS.
Even now that they made it to the finals, even if they don't win, the fact
you're right. You're right.
Running isolation plays over and over and over again is very telling to the state of the current state of the league.
Not to mention Kevin Love isn't there. Not to mention trade deadline BS where
you know what?
Mozgov got thrown in the mix.
That helped them because you got a guy who didn't rebound. They just had him as a stretch four, and he's not Chris Bosh stretch four, who's probably the greatest stretch four that we've seen since that's like a recent term.
Is that a thing? Is that a real thing?
Much other stuff that Chris Bosh does.
We even acknowledge the stretch four is a real thing now.
It's a real thing. And Chris Bosh is the greatest stretch four ever, apparently. But that helped them. I think they'd be worse off with them because the way they're winning now has nothing to do with anything that Kevin Love really brings to the table. They win off grit. They win off tough defense. Things that Kevin Love don't. He doesn't those don't represent him.
Well, you know what? We already talked about this because this was when I said that Kevin Love wasn't as good a player as Tristan Thompson at all.
Right.
We went down this road. What we do definitely all agree on, they're much better off without him.
Yeah.
And to me, that shows you what kind of player he is. That's why I said I don't think I think Tristan Thompson is just better than him. Like
And also,
when I subtract you from the scenario, you're not supposed to be better when I subtract you, no matter who you are. Having you off the court shouldn't be better. No matter who you are. Why are we better without you?
and also, for Greg, I also think something that I didn't mention is the fact that Kyrie Irving may wash out Stephen Curry in this series, which would be devastating for the Warriors. If those two players wash each other out, man, Warriors can get the hell out of here. They can't have those two players wash. And Kyrie Irving can throw up 50 points. He wouldn't throw up 50 points, I don't think, in this series. But I do think that when you get, a guy that's been resting, he's been broken up, if he's 80, 90%, and that dude washes anything Curry does out, that's messed up.
Kyrie Irving's probably an 85 overall.
You say what?
I said Kyrie Irving's probably an 85 overall.
He's got potential to explode. Like if he's healthy, we're forgetting about him because of him being hobbled and because they haven't needed him as much because they really haven't needed him against these teams that they've played. But
is that because these teams are so great and spectacular and proving Cleveland's toughness? Is that why they haven't needed their second best player, who's probably an 85 overall?
See, for our listeners out there, for the listeners out there, Greg is getting past Greg's bedtime, so this is how you behave when people win. When it's past his bedtime, he starts leaning in and talking with this expression. Is this because, man? Nah.
That's way too much space, dude.
Hey, you know what? Let's wrap up the finals preview with this, because this is now let's wrap up the finals preview with this discussion, because it is important because of the Kyrie Irving injury. It's very easy to not incorporate him into the discussion at all. I did it too. I did it earlier when I was talking about matchups. I just moved him to the side because LeBron's checking his man.
Yeah. No,
if Kyrie Irving can play close to their star, MVP best player, if he can play, let's say Curry gets 24 a game. Let's say Curry has a really good series, averages 24. If Irving gets 21, isn't that kind of devastating? Isn't that devastating, given that you still got the 99 in your back pocket?
Hey, I'll tell you this. You're absolutely right. And we have been talking around him, because he's been obviously absentee because of his injury during the playoffs.
Yeah, he's hobbled. He's hurt. He's legitimately hurt.
It's entirely possible, because I'll be honest, it's just that he's been hurt, and it's just that he has been overshadowed by LeBron James, but Kyrie Irving might be better than Steph Curry, flat out, period. So it's not impossible that he outplays Steph Curry.
And this is what I'm thinking about when I first came to this. I was sitting at work or something, and I came to this realization that I was like, I don't think Golden State has a chance. I don't think they have a chance, and I kind of just forgot about it because that was days ago when I came to that conclusion. But if Kyrie Irving can play well, that means you're a lot better than this team. You're a lot better than this team because their best player, he's a wash with Steph Curry. Like it's real cute and everything, and the story is great. Look, I'm glad I was never a Del Curry fan because the dude didn't guard nobody. So I was never a Del Curry fan. But I like the fact that it's a nice story, man, that Steph Curry was on the sidelines. I remember seeing Steph Curry on the sideline before. I remember seeing him. And to see him grow up in the game and become a pro, but the bottom line, but here's the thing. Oh, you know what? Let me throw this out there too. The underdog stuff that they doing with this Under Armour, all that underdog stuff. Steph Curry may be the least underdog dude in the finals.
Yeah.
His father played in the NBA for like 18 years. His mother also has professional athlete type genes. He is a millionaire before he ever played an NBA game. We all know in America most wealth is inherited. He's also light skinned. This dude is the least. He is the least underdog dude in the NBA. I mean, he may be the least underdog dude in the entire NBA. There's nothing underdog about him. He's where. Actually, you know what happened? He got where he was supposed to be. He made it. He landed in the NBA like his dad. That he's not an underdog by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know why anyone would even say he is. It's foolish. LeBron James crawled through muck and mire to get to the NBA. Now, he has this, obviously he has a lot of physical gifts, but Steph Curry got more pedigree than he does. He got more pedigree than he does. He just ain't as good a basketball player. So this notion that Steph Curry is an underdog, I can't think of a single way where he's an underdog at all.
And also,
as the official underdog of this group, because I'm the darkest dude here. I've kind of got LeBron's hairline situation going on. A lot of comments. Obviously, I agree with you. But in all seriousness, though,
address the Kyrie part, because that's
in all seriousness, I think that is the X factor that we have gone at least an hour through this discussion and not really addressed until now. So kudos to Jermaine for bringing it up, because that's a game changer. A healthy Kyrie Irving in a series where he doesn't have to really worry about being hassled defensively against a ball-hawking point guard on the other side, that matters. That matters a lot. Where he's going to be way more athletic than the point guard he's sitting across, because that wasn't the case necessarily with Rose, even though he was hobbled. That wasn't necessarily the case playing against Jeff Teague, right? I mean, this could be disastrous, and you could be looking at the MVP of the finals.
And also too, on the other side of that, Stephen Curry hasn't been challenged defensively whatsoever. Mike Conley was banged up.
Mm-hmm.
They played. I don't even know who the hell the point guard is for the Pelicans. Is it Tyreek Evans? Who?
Didn't Drew Holiday went down?
Oh, Drew Holiday, I think was back, but what?
It was Norris Cole, wasn't it? Didn't they pick up Norris Cole?
Oh God, okay,
yeah.
All right.
It's Norris Cole, I think, was playing last year.
I think he was playing point guard. Yeah.
Okay, so it was Norris. Okay, so none of these guys even worth discussing as far as upper echelon of point guards in the league. So he had him. He had Conley, who was hurt, and then he had Jason fucking Terry. So when he's not challenged defensively, just like any other player in the league, you can devote all your energies on the offensive end. That's kind of not going to be the case at all this series, and that's going to also wear down on him. Now, he's an NBA player. He's a young guy. He'll be fine. But all of these little things having to do with that point guard matchup does not favor the Golden State Warriors, I don't think. And by not favor, I mean what I said about Kyrie Irving. It doesn't favor them if those guys are anywhere near close statistically. Like that's not good for those guys. Even if he scores more points. So, that's something that I think would be great to pay attention to. It'd be great to see. I hope Kyrie Irving is healthy for the quality of basketball that I would like to see. Not just because I think that the Cavaliers are going to win. I think that makes this series very entertaining, seeing those two guys go at it. But like Daryl said, I mean, you got that matchup, and then you got LeBron just hiding behind the bushes, and he's doing all other stuff. He's doing all other stuff too. So. They're gonna have to show me that they could outdo that. They're gonna have to show me.
It's a very scary proposition. It's a almost you might get swept proposition if Kyrie Irving is getting my turn possessions and LeBron's kind of able to stand around and take some breaks. That's a very, very scary proposition for Golden State. And it could happen because, again, Curry is not a good defender at all. I don't even think he's adequate. So it's a scary proposition. We got our picks in. So let's close with this. Let's close with some fun. The worst players in rotation. Who are the worst players in rotation? Not the whole playoffs, because we had teams like Boston. Kelly Olynyk was out there and guys like that. Guys that shouldn't be in the NBA.
Thor.
Yeah. Thor.
The skinny Thor. Like the skinny Canadian Thor.
Muscles Thor.
And here's another dude where he grabs a dude's arm. Everybody saw it in the replay. He grabs his arm, yanks it back. No, he's not dirty. Okay, well, what do you call that? I don't know what you call it. I never saw Rick Mahorn do that. Like, well, I don't know what to say about that. But yeah, who y'all got, man? Who y'all got? Worst players in rotation, conference finals only. So, we're looking at Houston, Golden State, Atlanta, and Cleveland. Worst players in rotation. Greg, kick us off.
Well, all right. I mean, if you're going to give it to me first, I'm going to take the easy one. Pablo Prigioni was the worst player in the entire playoffs in that series. I mean, as much credit as I've been giving Klay Thompson all this time, and as much as I've been lauding like that superstar backcourt getting shots whenever they want kind of thing, that's all manufactured by Pablo Prigioni not knowing how to play a screen and roll and not knowing not knowing that he's supposed to be guarding.
All the same age.
The greatest shooter in history.
I think we're all the same age, and he made all 35-year-olds look really, really terrible. They all look bad.
Yeah, he was terrible. I mean,
God awful.
There was one play where he went in a half court set, went like 1-on-5, and threw the layup. Like, he went for a layup. Like, he didn't really get into the lane, but he went for a layup, and it airballed. It went clear over the rim, like it was an oop, but it wasn't.
I remember that. I remember that.
I thought.
When I saw that, I'm like, you don't deserve to be in the conference finals.
It was an Alexei Shved type move.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, defense, offense, slow rotations, not getting back, not getting in transition, not swinging around the horn the right way to cover guys. It's all the way bad. So I think he gets the trophy if we're handing one out.
You know what? I'm gonna grade that pick as a senior basketball analyst. That's an A pick, man. That's an A pick because when you look at what a basketball player is supposed to do and what the things that you learn if you play on like a good junior high team, the things that you're supposed to learn about basketball, ball you man, when to help, when to recover. The dude's lost. He legitimately does not know how to play basketball. He's confused. Like, you watch him where he just blows rotations, and it's like, dudes that don't even care don't blow rotations like that. Like, I don't know what he's doing. In addition to his lack of NBA physicality, the dude may be the slowest guy I've ever seen on an NBA court that is not a center. Like, he has Zach Randolph type feet. Like, except he's a point guard. Like, it's rare that I've ever seen anybody on a court doing the kind of stuff that Prigioni does at the NBA level. That's very rare. And to see it in a conference finals game, I don't know if Ishmael Cannon or one of those dudes is on the end of the Houston bench at point guard, but they should have definitely gone with that. So I think that's an A+.
Remember, he got traded to Philly. Remember?
He did. Man, they gotta have somebody. Somebody should have been playing instead of him. Anybody, or I won't even play a point guard because I don't need an offensive point guard anyway. When James Harden is dominating the basketball, I don't really need an offensive point guard. I would have just played anybody. I wouldn't have played a point guard. When Jason Terry came out the game, we come in with a 2 or something. Like, there was no, you know what they could have played? They could have played the KJ McDaniels kid. Just play him. Like, there was no reason in the world. Prigioni can't handle the ball anyway. It's not like you can give him the ball and tell him to bring the ball up the court. He's too slow and can't dribble. So I don't know. He adds nothing to a basketball court. So that's a really good pick because the dude, frankly, does not add anything. He subtracts.
He subtracts a lot. He subtracts.
Definitely.
That's
So Jermaine, you know what, man? You got a tall order because I don't know if he's one of the worst players in the league. Period.
oh no,
So.
he is he is on the island all by himself. There is
I got one. I got one that's close, but I don't think it can match him. But I got one.
Dellavedova is not close. He's not close. He's not close.
It's not Dellavedova. Dellavedova's bad, but it's not Dellavedova. I got one, a dude in rotation, my friend.
I'm intrigued.
Conference finals?
Very intrigued.
Conference finals in rotation, my friend. In rotation.
Timothy Mozgov.
No.
Mozgov sucks, but Mozgov's better than Dellavedova.
I don't think Mozgov is as bad as Daryl thinks he is. No, I don't think he's.
Mozgov's terrible. Okay, let me ask you this. Nope. You defended Mozgov, so let me ask you a few questions. What does Timothy Mozgov do other than catch the ball and make wide open dunks? If there's someone standing there, he can't finish. Make wide open 8-footers, can't shoot beyond 8 feet. Get a rebound that falls into his hands because he's 7 feet tall. He does not rebound out of space.
Well, no.
Block a shot if someone jumps into him because no one has any respect for him. We all remember Blake Griffin, dude, lightly caressed him, dude, like he was bro, dude. He had him on the couch, dude, after a nice date, man, dinner, movie. Caressed him on the head, dude, right in front of the fire. What does Timothy Mozgov do other than those things, which I submit to you, any 7-foot dude wearing a jersey can do? What does he do other than those things?
I think that's pretty much what he brings. His 7-footness. I think that's what he brings, and he can block a shot or two, and he can grab some rebounds. I think that right there puts him, and a lot of teams don't even have that anymore, really. So, I think he has definitely played well for them. I mean, he's obviously not that good, but, I don't think he's as big of a bum as you may think he is. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's any. I think he plays his role, and I think he plays it okay. I think he's fine. But I am curious about who you have in rotation because I really, besides Prigioni and Dellavedova, who, he ended up playing well for Cleveland, but he got a lot of help. He took a lot of people. He got 2 people thrown out of games, for no reason whatsoever. So, he would be my number 2 as far as worst player. He'd be number 2 as far as worst player in rotation.
Well, all right. The Hawks have a couple guys. I didn't mention them because they're bums. Straight up bums. But the Hawks got a couple guys.
My worst player.
That Muscala guy.
Muscala.
It's a dual award. I gave it a dual
award to
Pero Antich and Mike Muscala. I gave it a dual award. And check it out. Here's the thing, man. Pero Antich, better known to me as the guy that NYPD, for whatever reason, didn't break his leg. For whatever reason. I wonder what that would be. I don't know. He's covered in tattoos. He looks scary to me, right? But for some reason, they didn't break his leg.
He's too big and strong, Daryl.
But Pero, you know what? If he's so damn big and strong, Pero Antich was so bad. He didn't play in game 3 and 4 of the conference finals. That's how bad he is. They just stopped playing him. They just said, forget it. He had 0 points. He had 0 points in game 1.
Down.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Who started for them when Al Horford went down? I mean, when he got suspended.
That's a good. It would have had to have been Antich. No, it wasn't Antich because Antich.
No.
That's a good question. Who did start? That's a good question.
That is a good question. I don't remember what the lineup was.
It was some goofball. It was some goofball because it wasn't anybody that like It wasn't anybody that really.
Did they have Mike Scott start maybe? And they put
You think
No,
they
you know
moved
what it was?
Paul Millsap to
Paul
center?
Millsap at
Yeah,
center?
they did. Kent Bazemore played the 3, and they pushed everybody up.
They sure did. They
Oh, so that's
started
what it was.
Bazemore.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what? Bazemore made himself a little bit of money.
Yeah.
he can play.
I think Bazemore made himself a little money.
He can play.
So you know what? All right. So here, I'll throw this out there, dude, because we talked about it a little bit last week. Not like like the patron saint of Damari Carroll or anything like that, right?
No,
But
you are. But go ahead.
I like the dude a
God.
lot, and I think we had that conversation. He goes out with the injury, and he could have stayed out, right? Like this is a guy I read somewhere, and I haven't yet to research it and look it up. But I think he's made like league minimum a couple years, and then he got this one contract with Atlanta, and he's having this fantastic year. He's going to get a big contract renewal somewhere, right? Either renewed in Atlanta or go elsewhere. But I think he's made like $8 million over his 5-year career so far, right? Which is a ridiculously small amount of money for a guy who's pretty much a career starter and is revered as being a kind of a do-it-all kind of guy, indispensable utility guy for a team built to go into deep run in the playoffs. And he got injured, really messed his knee up. I thought he should have been done. Came back to guard LeBron James in the playoffs, in the conference finals. To me, that shows that you have some kind of spirit and effort and heart and all that stuff. When you didn't have to, you could have sat out the rest of the season. You guys were on your way to getting swept anyhow. You could have sat out, got your paycheck next season, got your big payday in the offseason. You'd already proven that you're this commodity. But he came back anyhow and played out the rest of the season. I think that's kind of big. I think that's kind of cool.
What's that got to do with the worst players?
I was trying to figure that out
It's
too.
just opposite. I just didn't want the whole show to go without having given Damari his credit.
You know your fantasy plugs, dude.
Oh my God! I
Third
can't
round
believe,
pick for you
dude,
next year.
I can't believe we burned 4 or 5 minutes of the audience's
That
time
was awful.
talking about Damari Carroll again. Like I know,
Damari Carroll for president.
I know he can play basketball. Congratulations. I know. Like I know that.
Gotta
Back
stay
to
on
people
top
who
of
can't play. So to wrap this up, Carroll and by the way, Mike Budenholzer, because nobody on TV holds coaches accountable when they're clowns, so I will. Mike Budenholzer DNP'd Mike Scott for no reason again.
That was pretty bad that he wasn't
I don't
playing.
get that.
That was bad.
DNP'd him game 1, and by the way, he was DNP'ing him since the Washington series.
Yep.
He finally went back to him. Because he went out there with Mike Muscala with his 2 points and Pero Antich with his 0 points. 0.
Uh-huh.
So he had to go back to Mike Scott because he was like, oh man, I guess I should put basketball players on the court. Imagine that. This guy, Pero Antich, can do one thing. He can hit a wide open jump shot if nobody's near him. He has to be wide open.
Looking at him. I think
And
you don't want
nobody's
anybody
near
looking at him either.
And maybe not even if anybody's looking at him. That's a good point. That's all he can do. He can't do anything else. So all game long, people are blowing past him, rebounding over him, shooting over him. All game long. Nothing. No answers from Pero Antich. He's just a dude running around. If you playing the game, then it's like, oh man, it's cool. I put the guy with all the tattoos in. That's all he's good for. He's like back in the day, you use the Clippers and Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles dunk the ball and do like this, and they had headbands, so you use them in the game because it looked cool. Pero Antich, that's all he's good for. He can't actually play basketball, and that was unfair to them because those dudes can play.
I think Mike Scott had a bruise. I think his back was hurt or something. He had like a back injury. So I know he wasn't 100%. So
that doesn't mean that Mike Muscala, who scored almost all of his points in buster minutes at the end of the game for blowout, Mike Muscala, 2 points, 2 points, 0 points, 8 points. Are you serious with this?
What were the minutes? Final? What were the minutes?
11, 5, 9, and 12.
God, those two guys are terrible. I totally forgot about those guys.
So yeah, that was kind of my, if I had an award, it kind of like the old, what was it? It was like Jason Kidd, Grant Hill, Rookie of the Year. I would kind of I would kind of go, and the duel. I think both of these guys played so badly that it's unfair to either one of them to not give them this award. It's unfair. The same way I think it's unfair to what's the bum's Dellavedova, that bum. It's unfair to not call him a dirty player. Dellavedova has worked very hard doing several dirty plays. People didn't even talk about the Jimmy Butler thing where he's trying to pull Jimmy Butler's arm off. Like, Dellavedova is consistently dirty, and it's not fair to him to say he's not dirty. He's telling you he's dirty with his actions. Let him be dirty. I don't understand this thing where people want to infantilize a player or infantilize people in general. They do bad things, but they're not a bad guy. He stole this, but he's not a thief. Dellavedova goes on the court and does things with the intent to injure people consistently. He's dirty. Let him be dirty. There's no reason to not call him dirty.
Training, dude. Bruce
training. And I think a guy like Mike Muscala, a guy like Pero Antic, I think these guys go out there with a dedication to playing bad, and we should let them and get them pay homage. Pay homage to these dudes being terrible. We should pay homage to that and give them credit.
They're dedicated to playing bad. I don't think they think that they're bad. I think they're really trying.
Wait. Hold on. Do you really think that Mike Muscala thinks he's good at basketball? You really think that? How could?
He's in the NBA. His family probably tells him he's awesome all the time. Why would you think he doesn't think that?
You know what? I'd be willing to bet his family doesn't think anything about basketball. I think he doesn't talk about basketball after he leaves the gym.
We gotta look up his family members, dude. We gotta look up some family members here to see confirm this.
Look. And I'm serious about this, man. I'm serious about this. Just because a dude's wearing a jersey and he's making millions of dollars, don't mean he cares. And I'll tell you like this: if he cares, then why doesn't he have a single basketball skill? He's been playing basketball presumably his whole life.
I think you underestimate how delusional people are, right? And I think that a guy like him that's playing, and Pero Antic, these guys like that, Pablo Prigioni, for starters, gets talked about a lot in a great way, in a good way, positive way, by Van Gundy and all these other people throughout the game. They talk about how useful these sort of players are, which is a total lie. So they're already getting the reassurance from pundits during games. Not those two guys, because they don't play enough, and they're just they're not really a factor like that. But Prigioni, I've heard plenty of times that the guy does good stuff on the court. He makes good decisions and stuff like that. So I think these players they're not intentionally doing bad. They're just not talented enough, and they go out there and they try it. They go out there and try, and their attempts are futile, and they keep trying, and they end up having an illustrious 1.2 points a game season, and they go home with that. They play for 5 or 6 years and they go home.
I don't think
same thing with these guys.
I don't think it's not that I think they go out there like I remember watching Bargnani, and he did a few things that made me think he was trying to mess the game up on purpose. I'm not saying they're playing bad on purpose. I'm saying they don't really care one way or another, and they're just bad. I think they're guys that go to the practice court. As soon as practice is over, they hop in a Lamborghini or whatever, and they jet out. I think that they don't work on their games. I think they don't care one way or another, really, if you win or lose. They don't care. And I think it's evident that they don't care in their terrible play. I'll give you an example of a dude with no talent that does produce something. Kyle Korver.
There's a lot of people like that.
In the playoffs, he fell apart, but Kyle Korver clearly cares about his craft. That's why he works on that jump shot. That's why it's flicking. He works on that jump shot. He says, look, I don't have any talent. This is what I have to do to be productive. A guy like Pero Antic stinks. A guy like Mike Muscala, they don't work on their game. They don't do anything, man. They show up to the arena and they get on the court because they just gave him a spot. Like, I don't think they do anything. Prigioni, by the way, against the Warriors here, those 5 games, he averaged 1.4 points on 33% field goal shooting. Guess what he shot from the arc? Somebody take a guess what he shot.
17%.
Huh?
17%?
Did you look it up?
No, I just literally came up with that number.
You nailed it. 16.7% from the
Get
arc.
the fuck out of here.
No, man, you nailed it, man. Look, dude.
How many
Wow.
turnovers?
Look,
That's great.
man.
How many
Look,
turnovers?
we don't give
really,
out
really bad.
we don't give out awards on this show, but if we did, you would get one. Like,
Holy shit.
no,
That
no,
was a joke. That
He
was a
was
joke.
terrible. And so it turns out his statistics are even worse than what it felt like I was seeing on the court when it was happening. That's pretty impressive. Like, anecdotally, it looked horrifying, but then you read the stats out loud, and it's like, oh my
That's
God, it's even worse than I
crazy.
thought.
That's
So,
crazy.
no. You know what? And here's the thing. And you know what? Let's it's obviously we're ready for the finals to start, but let's not forget what got us here. And one of the things that got us here, and one of the things that the NBA put on the court for 11 minutes a game, the NBA gave us Pablo Prigioni. This dude averaged 1.4 points a game. He literally didn't score in 3 out of the 5 games. He did not score.
Dude,
He averaged 1.4 points on 33% shooting. I'm not playing about this. I'm not joking. He shot, I'm telling you the truth on this. He took, this is 9 field goal attempts in the entire series. If I shot 9 jump shots from the stands, so if I was standing on the baseline out of bounds, if I took 9 of them, I would hit 3.
one.
I would hit 3. I can't hit 9 shots. I can't hit 9 shots from like 20. I can't hit 3 shots from like 27, 30 feet. Of course I can. This clown went on an NBA basketball court and for a series shot 33%, 1 point a game. 1 point a game against a point guard that doesn't guard anybody.
maybe they were trapping him because they know, how he gets down. Maybe they're doubling up on him.
Man, so this kind of stuff bugs me. This kind of stuff bugs me because you can't put that in front of your fans and then have a guy like Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy, I don't know where he's going with that when he says stuff like that. I don't know if there's a sheet that ESPN is telling him to say certain things. I don't know if he really believes it, but you can't tell me that Pablo Prigioni, dude, what is this you doing, Greg? Like, we don't see you doing that in the court. Anyway,
Oh, I didn't see it.
you can't tell me that a guy that
17.
you can't tell me that a guy that's always in the wrong spot defensively, that is very, very slow. You can't tell me that guy is adding something to the game when he's getting 1 point a game, can't guard his man, he's getting 1.6 assists. You can't tell me that dude is adding something to the game, and you especially can't tell me he's a good player. We need more guys like this. He heaps praise on this guy, and the guy is objectively bad at basketball. I don't know where you're going with that from a broadcast perspective. I don't know what you're telling me there.
Well, I think it's odd that if you did Prigioni and Muscala, both of their names sound like wine. So you have Moscato and like Grigio. Grigio. So I don't know if it's guys that have like wine sounding last names that are all bad. We may have to do a study on that. I don't know, but I see we should just wrap it up with those 2 guys and their funny names and their bad play on the court. And, Dellavedova is actually way better than any of these guys now that I think about it. We dug so deep into the badness of the conference finals that there was like 3 people that you guys mentioned I totally forgot about. Like,
absolutely. No, absolutely. Dellavedova is definitely better than those guys. And yeah, let's wrap it up with this. So Greg, you got who you got? You said I'm thinking that you're saying Golden State. But how do you see the series shaping out? Shaping up.
If I have to call it,
You definitely
Of course you got to call it. You ain't here. If I
gotta
wanted to
call it.
not call it, I'll go call Charles Barkley or some dummy like that. What do you mean?
If I gotta
no,
call it.
I think it's Golden State in 7. I think it's Golden State in 7. I think we're in for a really good finals. I think we're going to see. I mean, probably better. And maybe I'm just excited about it, but I'm thinking this is going to be a better finals than we've seen in a bunch of years. I haven't really liked the Miami finals appearances, save for the Thunder was good and Dallas was good, but I think the other two against the Spurs was terrible. But I think this is the first time we're going to see two teams who aren't, like Jermaine said earlier, the run-of-the-mill teams, the expected teams. I mean, Golden State kind of was, but they're out of nowhere. They're back from the dead kind of thing. Kind of. Mark Jackson built the team. Yeah, I'm not going to rehash it. Golden State in 7. Golden State in 7. That's my word.
Okay. Jermaine, you got who you got?
I had the Cavs in 6.
Cavs in 6.
Easy money, dude.
Cavs in 6. I actually want to go. If Kyrie Irving, if I knew more about Kyrie Irving's health, I would say Cavs in 5. So I'm gonna say Cavs in 6. I think the matchups actually favor. I think they favor Cleveland heavily. I don't even think they favor Cleveland a little bit. I think the matchups favor Cleveland heavily. Basketball is mostly, and especially in the NBA, is about matchups. And I think since the coaching is going to be so rudimentary, this is the first time we've ever had rookie head coaches since the very first NBA Finals. So as an NBA, you also need to take a look at that. You've regressed back to year 1. Is what you've done. You've regressed. So this is the first time that's happening, really, since it ever counted. So I think the coaching is going to be really out of the window. And I think that the thing is going to affect everything the most is how the players match up. And I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Golden State to deal with LeBron, Kyrie Irving, and J.R. Smith all simultaneously, and also keep Tristan Thompson off the backboard. If they had more of a traditional bruiser power forward, it would help a lot. It would help a lot. But I think Draymond Green doing the kind of workhorse 3/4 Xavier McDaniel routine, I don't know if I want that as my starting power forward, and that's it. You know, when they used to do that back in the late 80s, he'd be playing a 3 and bully some 3. Draymond Green's not going to bully Tristan Thompson at all, not even on a single possession. It's never going to happen.
He'd be on LeBron anyway.
He's God. If he's guarding LeBron, forget it. He can't guard LeBron on the block. He can't guard him at the arc. He can't guard him anywhere. Forget it. Like, the more I think about that, I feel like I'm gonna be watching it and be like, man, this is really boring because this is exactly what I thought was gonna happen. That's what worries me. So
we'll see. I think these matchups are gonna play out to be very, very interesting and very entertaining. I think these matchups have an opportunity to go Golden State's way, to be honest, because I think once you get past LeBron and Kyrie, I think the rest of the team is very hit or miss. I think this is a list of guys who throughout their career have been famous for not showing up, frankly. J.R. Smith and Timothy Mozgov and whoever else they're going to roll. Hell, even James Jones or these are a bunch of guys that don't really get the job done. And if we're counting on them to show up and dominate a bunch of guys who, to me, on Golden State, have shown to a man to be very capable in every aspect of what they've been asked to do. I don't think the matchups go Cleveland's way, to be honest. So we'll see, but I could be wrong about that.
You know what? That's great. You know what, man? That's great analysis, and I think that's a good way to close the show, man. I really appreciate you guys taking the time, as always. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, man. Really appreciate it. So, yeah, Senior Basketball Analyst signing out, man.